to our advanced workshop on living to 100. So, here is what tonight is worth to you. So I want you all to picture something for me. So picture yourself, okay. And it gets a little dark and desolate, but I promise you there's a happy ending. So picture yourself, you're in your hospital room, okay, and you come in, and your doc literally tells you, you might have a month, you might have a week to live. Let's say that same doc comes back in after we're all unfortunately in that position. So mentally put yourself there. And he comes in and he says, I have a piece of paper here that will add, if you follow it, 8 years to your life. What's that piece of paper worth to you? Priceless, right? And not just years, we're talking quality years. We're not when we're taking a bunch of drugs, we're on a bunch of medication. 8 quality years. What's that word? That's priceless. So here is why I bring this up. Because what we're all doing here in the United States is we're leaving, on average, 8 good years on the table. We're leaving 8 years from either what we're taking in, from what we're not taking in, through drugs, medication, surgery. We're leaving those 8 good years that are on the table. If you implement these things tonight, that's what you could reap. Those are the benefits. So that's how important this is. So we look now we have the foundation set. So we look at the culture shock on where we're at here in the United States. Some of you have seen this before. It's scary. These statistics do not lie. The 40 most industrialized countries, we're dead last in most categories of overall health. Infant mortality, homicides, disability, heart disease, chronic lung disease, drug-related deaths. That is what's happened here in our culture. So if we look into this, if we look into what is our culture, is it working? If we look into it, so we look into depression. We're taking 92% of the world's antidepressants. That means the rest of the world's only taking the other 8%. We look at disease. We are the sickest nation in the world. That's our culture. Anxiety, depression. We have more suicides than most other countries from anxiety and depression. If we look into obesity, more prevalence in any other country. The obesity epidemic is running rampant. 76% increase in type 2 diabetes is taking place currently. That's since the mid-1990s. Okay, type 2 diabetes, we know, it's lifestyle-related diabetes. And illness, where we get sick, we're getting sick with lifestyle-related conditions. Obesity, diabetes, cancer, cardiovascular disease, and 99% are proving towards lifestyle. Now, if we look into what culture is and what culture isn't, should we study our own culture, or should we study who's doing it the right way? The first assignment is, there's a gentleman, his name is Dan Bittner, and he's pretty much the longevity guru, and I would challenge all of you to go on YouTube and watch his stuff. When I was doing a lot of research, I was doing a lot of training with his stuff.
What's his first name?
Dan Bittner is Buettner. And he did all the research with the National Institutes of Health on what's called blue zones. So if we look into the people at Gaza, this is the first culture we want to look into. So the first one is here. So if we want to look into where they're out in the Black Sea. So they found all these blue zones. They found about 4 or 5 of these blue zones that are throughout the world. What these blue zones are, these are people that are living well over into their 100 years of age, 105, 110. And they're not just living there, but when they're making it to that age, they're healthy. They're riding bikes. They're still working at 102. So what are they doing? And if we look into some of this, what they're doing, so lacto-vegetarian diet, light on meat, everything's only fresh. But if we look over here, overeating is considered socially inappropriate. Nuts are a major source of fat. Kind of sounds like what we're talking about with our advanced nutrition plan, doesn't it? That's exactly what it sounds like to me. So we talk about overeating, and the two tips, the first two takeaways, when you eat dinner, and if you have a problem with the overeating, we have our main dinner plate, we have our smaller salad plate, if you will. Put your dinner on that plate. Put your dinner on the smaller plate, and that's going to allow you to have that portion control we're looking for. Number two is that when your belly, when it feels about 30% full, that's when you stop eating. Because what that will do, it takes your body about 20 minutes, your brain to tell your body 20 minutes that you're full. So by the time if we overeat, that's when we wake up, or when we, towards the end of the meal, I need to take a nap because I just ate so darn much. That's what happens because it takes that long for your brain to tell your body that you're full. So the second tip from there is at 30% fullness, okay, cut it out. And you're going to save a lot of calories, and that's going to be portion control. So that's the first group that they studied. Number two, second group, Hunza Valley, and they are out in Pakistan, was where this next group was studied out of. Here's what they found. Normal blood pressure, cholesterol, EKGs, ECGs. No heart disease and cancer. How is that even possible? No heart disease, because it's not prevalent. The reason being is that they're very active, nutritionally they're very proficient, cooking vegetables, largely eating a raw diet, once again, looking like our advanced nutrition plan. Flaxseed meal is prevalent, very little animal products. The problem with our animal products here is what do we have?
Genetically modified.
GMOs, baby. You got it. So if you're not eating the grass-fed, wild, organic types of fish or beef, then what are we doing? We're putting in these toxic animal products in our body. And that's what most of us are doing on a consistent basis. So that's the second one. So second culture, number two, is on the Hunza Valley. Number three, this little section was out in Ecuador. And what did we find out from them? High cardiovascular fitness, because they're walking everywhere, but look at that terrain. Right? That's a terrain. So what's that terrain, what's that walking you through? That's that high intensity, short duration type activity. And what that will allow you to do, so that's good exercise, but it's exercise, it's not actually exercise because they're not going to the gym where it's just, you're going to the gym to strictly exercise. They're doing this to go from point A to point B. And that's the difference between exercise programs when we talk about. Same thing, so we see kind of no packaged or processed goods, very little animal products, no overweight people, no crime or no suicide. How nice would it be to live in a country like that? No crime, no suicide. And that's one of the reasons everybody's happy. If everybody's happy, let's really deal with it. So those are the three cultures. So one of the things in our office, and if you've been around me long enough, you know our office, we strive to be counterculture. We don't want to be, I would never want you to come in here just to get your prescription filled. I had a patient earlier, and unfortunately, she was a recovering drug addict. But how she got addicted, she kept on going to her doctor, giving her pain pills, giving her pain pills, giving her pain pills. She got addicted, she almost lost her life. And I hadn't seen her in about 4 or 5 years. And I know I saw her this afternoon, and that's exactly what she shared with me, is that I kept on going back to him. I thought I was getting better, but long story short, she was getting addicted to pain meds, and then it led to other drugs. But it all stemmed from initially in pain. How do we deal with it here? Here's a prescription to fight the pain, fight the virus, fight the infection, what have you. That's not health, that's a treatment of disease. Yeah. Hello. So we look into this, how this all plays a role into what can we train. What can we train on? So we look into the 5 essentials on how we can, what we can work on. We look into our maximized mindset. So let's hit this one right away. So successful cultures, this is what they do. Mindset of creating peace, decreasing being rushed. How many of you in the past week have you're driving down 19 here, there's a light, there's 2 cars in front of you, but the other lane is empty. but it's red light. How many of us switch lanes to get in that other lane? We all do it, right? Oh, we're always in a rush. But what that does, that spikes up your inflammatory state. And that inflammatory state is what all those other cultures are not in. We get put in that inflammatory state, that's weight gain, that's where disease processes live. So we're constantly getting rushed. What else can we do for successful cultures? We've got to understand what our big why is. For those of you who've been in the makeover before, understanding what your big why is. Why do you want to live a long life? You want to see your grandkids grow up. You want to see your great-grandkids grow up. You want to spend it with your spouse on traveling. Whatever your big why is, that's what successful cultures do, because they already know what their big why is. They wake up every morning, they know exactly why they're getting up. They're not just getting up to pound the pavement, to go work and go home, sit on the couch, watch Jeopardy, and go to bed, and hit the pause button, and hit play again when they wake up. You have to understand what that is. Whatever that is, that's what you have to take advantage of. This one ends up being the most important part of it. It's a great relationships. If you hang out with, if 4 of your best friends are on prescription drugs, they don't take care of themselves, they eat fast food all the time, is that going to come across and rub off on you? I guarantee you it will. So you have to understand that the circle of friends that you have to have similar interests, but those similar interests have to be based off of, so instead of those types of interests, now we look at somebody, your friends are now based off, let's go exercise, let's go to a yoga class, let's try this new vegetarian recipe. Now if you circle yourself those types of groups of friends, we see the differences. But those groups of friends, we also understand that's your culture, that's who you're spending your time with, so that's going to be maximizing your mindset. If you surround yourself with folks that are on opposite ends of the spectrum as you, that negative energy will wear off on you, whether you think so or not. So, not saying we want to eliminate those loved ones because they're in our life for a reason, but if that's a common denominator, it's something we want to look into. Another thing that all these other cultures do is that they're involved, they volunteer. So I'm in the process now of, has anyone ever heard of the City Mission in Washington? So it's a Christian organization, and I've been working with, in the process, and we finally, after getting through all the red tape, we're setting up a chiropractic wellness program there. So we're so excited to be called to do that. So that's going to be starting up for them in 4 weeks. So all the residents that are homeless, recovering drug addicts, etc. On the female side, a lot of them are from abuse, and it's an unfortunate situation. But we are setting up that program for them. They need volunteers for tons of other things. What your church you belong to, there's volunteers that are needed all over the place. Get involved in your community. So you do things for others, it comes back and pays twice the dividend to you. So what that will do is, look what it will do here. So how daily activity is associated with reduced risk of Alzheimer's disease. If you look at the middle one here, states that have high volunteer rates are more likely to have greater longevity. So if you want to do something for someone else but it comes back and helps you, there you go, it's volunteering all day long. So that's, once again, mindset. That's also going to allow you to put yourself in a better place, feel real good about yourself. That's internally, number one, maximizing mindset. So why do you want to optimize your brain function? Alzheimer's is increasing big time. One of the reasons why it's increasing so much is, if we look here through weekly consumption, what we're taking in is we're taking in a lot of foods, processed foods in our diet. What they're linking it to is that the fatty acids from processed foods, our standard processed diet is about a 20 to 1 ratio from what they call omega-3 to omega-6 fatty acids. We need to be in a 1 to 2 ratio. The standard American diet is from 20 to 1. That's how far off we are. What it's leading to, what they're finding is it's leading to Alzheimer's disease from the omegas being so far off. How we can increase this? How can we increase essential fatty acids by taking in all the good fats that we've touched on in the past? We've touched on the right types of fats to take in from your nuts, your seeds, and your oils. First thing we're going to do is we're going to change your oils and change your fats. We're going to talk about that here in a slide or two. Another way you can do it, so we've heard about the fish oils before, so this is perfect ratio omega. What that will do, this is in a standard ratio of 1 to 2 for the fatty acid content that you need to have in your body for your omega-3 to your omega-6s. What that will in turn do is that will enhance your brain and mental function as we age. I can't stress this enough. If you've been in my workshops before, you know how much I push. I stand behind maximize living products because I know where they come from. As long as it's an organic whole food product, I don't care where you get it from. You get it from wherever you want, but it's something you need to be taking on a daily basis. I just know there's the ratios from in a 1 to 2 ratio. Now what that else will do is that the fish that's in here, a lot of times you're buying the GNC or the Walmart brands, they're not coming from an organic food source. They're coming from the farm-raised garbage, from all that gunk that's out there. That's what you're putting in your body. Help support your heart, blood pressure, and cholesterol. So if you're not taking a fish oil, I highly recommend you take this on a daily basis. You can also take a krill oil as well. It's another option you can have for it.
What's better?
Research, you can find research telling you that.
Either way.
Yeah, there's not a line in the sand yet to tell you to go either or.
I mean, it's basically the same thing.
For the most part, but sometimes what's research is actually coming up maybe a little bit more support towards the krill oil, but it's I'd say you can pretty much find it. The research is split between the two.
Doesn't fish oil tend to repeat on you, though?
Yes. So if you take, that's a good question. This one has an orange vitamin in it.